crash.
This is a tough town to get lost in. We have prescriptions for every malady known to man, but none for life. I still say it was a nice party.
Good night, sport.
Good night, Baron. As I walked away from Errol that night, I felt the same sorrow he must be experiencing. Although he'd been tried and acquitted, the public assumed that where there was smoke, there was fire, and they were not forgiving. Having ridden high and wide most of his life, he now found himself in a humiliating spotlight. And thus was born the oft-used phrase, "in like Flynn." His career had crested. Even though he made 30 more films before he died, his best work was behind him. Not so his brawls, amours, alimony problems, and drinking escapades. They remained constant. He was married twice after Lily and had 3 daughters. Errol Flynn died in 1959 at the age of 50.
Take the New Year festivities through the night on Thames. At 15 minutes past midnight, get into Flashdance with Jennifer Beals.
If you close your eyes, you can see the music. You can, too.
At 2, feel the heat of Meltdown in concert with Squeeze. At 3, The Battle of Neretva, starring Yul Brynner.
Now, that's the kind of work you enjoy. That right?
Demolition, Martin. It's just a job, like any other.
The Battle of Neretva at 3, and with CNN headline news at 5:30, it's entertainment through the night to New Year's Day on Thames.
All part of the service, of course. Well, stay with us as next this morning, an American look at world events with the CNN headline news after this break.
Have you ever wondered how some holiday companies can offer such low prices? They may settle for cheaper hotels or fewer resorts, more night flights. Some may even cut back on customer service. Not Martin Rooks. Because we sell our holidays direct to you, we can cut prices without cutting corners.
Nah, I'm not doing it.
Come on, turn round.
No, I'm not turning around. Not with these spots, no way.
They're not pretty. I tell you what, give this new stuff a bash. It's Clearasil acne treatment. And see how your face looks in 5 days.
It's not going to work in 5 days.
You might be surprised.
New Clearasil can turn round spots and acne in just 5 days.
Are you surprised?
I sure am.
A spotty specimen last week. What do you reckon now?
Well, they were really bad last week, but Clearasil's not the job.
Ask at your pharmacy for new Clearasil acne treatment. It's effective. Ask at the pharmacy counter.
Ordinary shampoo takes your hair to the first dimension. Conditioner takes it to the second. But now you can take it to a totally new dimension with New Dimension Shampoo. Feel the difference. Its unique molecular action leaves every strand of your hair looking so healthy and beautiful, you simply won't need a conditioner. New Dimension Shampoo. It takes your hair to another dimension.
I try to see her every day. I mean, she's still my daughter.
Sometimes I read to her. Sometimes I just hold her hand. I still can't believe it happened. And the driver had plenty of time to stop, but he'd been drinking. He left hospital 3 days later. They say my Jenny will never come out. But I've got to believe she might. One day.
I perhaps...
Sir.
Adverts.
Sir.
Portrait.
Sinex. Vicks Sinex. The Thames Vicks Vapors. Give relief in seconds, and it lasts for hours.
Barton, see me after school. Briggs. What's going to work fast and have a long-lasting effect on you, Barton?
Sinex works in seconds, lasts for hours.
In the heat of the night, when I sell my soul, gonna sell my soul to you, baby, for just a little light, gonna keep me warm in the night.
The new face of British coal. Feel the heat. Dial 100 and ask for free phone real fires.
Get a flying start to 1988 with the New Year TV Times. And 3 big thrillers. Hanny stars Robert Powell, who lets us into his private life. Flood Tide 2 and Contract. Like to jet off to Florida on Concorde? Keep the lucky number on this week's cover to enter winning lines, a £500,000 holiday game.
This is Thames from London, and a very good Wednesday morning to you. Time now for the CNN headline news. A time check for you. It's exactly 5:30.
Headline news, I'm David Goodnow. It will be another 3 or 4 days before additional charges are filed against R. Gene Simmons. Tuesday, police discovered 9 more bodies near his Ozark Mountain home. He's already charged with killing 2 people during a shooting rampage on Monday. Pat St. Clair reports.
7 of the bodies were unearthed in this shallow grave near Simmons' backwoods home. The grave had been covered with a sheet of corrugated metal. Russellville Sheriff Boland says the victims were more family members.
Well, they were children of his wife, and possibly a couple of grandkids.
Minutes after search crews found the 2-foot deep hole, another grim discovery. When authorities opened the trunks of 2 abandoned cars, they found the bodies of 2 2-year-olds wrapped in plastic garbage bags. The toddlers were also Simmons' grandchildren. A neighbor says he had long thought Simmons was odd.
You know, he was real strange like.
How so?
Well, the kids wouldn't do nothing, his wife wouldn't say nothing to nobody, and at school my kids, would come in, talking about him, they would eat by themselves. They wouldn't they wouldn't eat, they wouldn't let no one eat with them. They wouldn't talk to nobody.
Simmons, a retired Air Force sergeant, appeared despondent at his arraignment Tuesday. He was charged with killing 2 former co-workers and 4 counts of attempted murder after he went on a shooting spree Monday. Simmons never spoke and only nodded occasionally.
You have the right to remain silent. You understand that? Do you also understand that you're entitled to be represented by an attorney? You understand that? If you're unable to employ counsel or do not have the means to do so, then this court will appoint an attorney for you at no charge to you. You understand that?
Simmons was ordered to undergo psychiatric care and was refused bail. Authorities say there will be more charges against Simmons.
Here, charges will not be filed on him within the next day or 2 or a few days. We want to send all these bodies to the medical examiner, find the bullets that may be in them, and try to match them up with the weapons that we have in custody.
The family members found buried in the shallow grave Tuesday are believed to have been killed before Christmas. Authorities say they believe the 2 toddlers were killed at Simmons' home during the weekend. At Simmons' home Monday, authorities found the bodies of 5 relatives who had just arrived for the holidays. The victims apparently never had a chance to even take off their coats. Pat St. Clair, CNN reporting.
The nation's return to manned spaceflight has suffered yet another setback. NASA's delaying the first post-Challenger flight. It had been set for June. But the agency said a motor component in a full-scale shuttle booster failed during a critical test firing last week. Post-test analysis of the big nozzle used with the booster shows a section of a ring assembly came apart during the test. As NASA was suffering a setback, the Soviet space program celebrated another victory. Cosmonaut Yuri Romanenko returned to Earth Tuesday after a record 326 days in space. He says he's feeling well and is happy to see Earth again. Romanenko and his crewmates were relieved from duty in the Mir space station during the first complete crew change ever in space. The greenback is making some slight progress in Tokyo. Wednesday's dollar moved up to 123.52 yen. That's up 0.02 from Tuesday's record close. In another Tuesday trading, the dollar was mixed against major currencies amid fears that the weak dollar could drive foreign investors out of the U.S. and force up U.S. interest rates. 5 months after striking an Iranian mine, a U.S.-flagged Kuwaiti supertanker is back in the Gulf. The Bridgeton is leading the latest U.S.-escorted convoy north. We now take a look at the United States' expanded role in the Gulf.
There's a reason why, since 1949, American ships have patrolled the Gulf. It is a region that is a crossroads for 3 continents and the starting place for the oil that is the lifeblood of much of the world economy. Even more important, this is a region critical to avoiding larger conflict in the tinderbox that is the Middle East. Any risk to that naval presence will be dealt with appropriately.
We picked up an aircraft that was coming out of Iraq, and something like 11 to 12 miles out from our ship, it fired a missile.
We believe that it was some sort of, as I say, a ghastly error, which has caused enormous loss of life.
Our task today is simple and sad. To remember to pay tribute to those we loved. The fallen sailors of the USS Stark understood their obligations. They knew the importance of their job.
Operation Earnest Will, the code name given to the escort of the reflagged Kuwaiti tankers, is underway.
Trying to end the ground war, we furnished arms to Iran, and they are the aggressor on the ground. In trying to supposedly end the tanker war, we're lining up with the ally of Iraq, and they are the ones perpetuating the tanker war.
One of the things I do not have a capability to do is to defend the tanker from a mine.
The giant supertanker Bridgeton struck a mine about 7 a.m. local time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, as it was sailing with its U.S. Navy escort some 120 miles southeast of Kuwait. None of the 26 men aboard were injured.
It's difficult to assess who places a mine. A track record, however, would clearly point the finger to Iran.
Well, we discovered an Iranian vessel engaged in indiscriminate laying of mines in international waters. It's a hostile act. We fired at them. About 30 minutes later, they began to lay mines again. We subjected them to additional fire and actually disabled the ship.
This is a beginning for a series of events, the bitter consequences of which shall not be restricted to the Persian Gulf. And the United States, as the initiator of the trouble, shall bear responsibility for all ensuing events.
No, we're not going to have a war with Iran. They're not that stupid.
The Sea Isle city was dead in the water hours after the missile exploded in the starboard crew quarters and set the U.S. flagged tanker ablaze. The U.S. and Kuwait condemned Iran for the attack, which is likely to bring an American military response.
American forces of the Joint Task Force Middle East carried out a measured and an appropriate response. The Iranian platform at Rashadat was destroyed this morning by a United States naval gunfire.
The Iraqis, led by Saddam Hussein, could be in more danger now than ever, especially if the Iranians capture Basra.
The attack by Iraqi warplanes on industrial targets marks the first bombing of the Iranian heartland in at least 2 months.
The Cypriot tanker Pivot gushed a burning stream of crude oil from its stern following the daylight Iranian attack.
The UN Security Council voted to demand a ceasefire between Iran and Iraq.
Our policy has not changed. We protect U.S. flag vessels.
This year, as in others before it, America has suffered casualties in this unavoidably hazardous vigil. So, for some families, this Veterans Day brings unexpected pain, which the rest of us can best comfort by saluting these most recent American heroes and carrying forward their cause.
Coming up in our next segment, it may be winter, but in Japan, it's already time to do some spring cleaning. Stay tuned.
Sign on the dotted line for a Scottish amicable pension, and who knows where it'll take you.
Villa in Spain, we adore you. We waited